Good evening, everyone. Sport Live Chat. How are you? Soon I'll see each one of you coming up. Oh, Scott Hahn is already there waiting for me to invite him. So, Scott, soon you're coming up. Let's go. So, hi, everybody. As we're waiting for Scott. Hey, Scott. Looking good.
How you doing?
Good, good. And you?
Very well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you okay. And as soon as many people are coming up, all our followers and spectators and people from around the world, from our world of gymnastics, I will say that I'm very pleased and very honored to host you in this Sport Live Chat. As we know each other for, I think, already about 10 years. And I've learned a lot about you from being first of all, a great coach, a friend, and a great person. So that's for the entrance, for the entree. How are you, Scott?
I'm very well, thank you very much. And I guess I've got to start by saying thank you very much for asking me to come on here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure and honour because you know that, again, as you said, I've known you for a very long time. And I look up to you and admire everything that you've achieved in the sport. And it's a real honour and a pleasure to be able to just sit and have a chat with you. And I've watched some of your other interviews, obviously the ones that I've been able to catch hold of, and they've been absolutely fantastic. So it's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. So how is it going now with all this time of the coronavirus? Did you go back to work? Everything back to normal or not yet?
No, it's far from it. We have some of our Olympic athletes have now gone back to training under very, very strict circumstances. So there's a lot of cleaning, a lot of protection in place to make sure that they're safe and that the coaches are safe. But the world of gymnastics, or the gymnastics in Great Britain, still hasn't gone back to any sort of normality at all. There's lots of online sessions, there's lots of Zoom sessions, but at the moment, all the gyms are shut, so there's no training at all, apart from the Olympic athletes.
So the Olympic athletes are back to work as usual, like everyday training, or still you have the combination of doing some Zoom workouts, trainings?
Yeah, well, at the moment, it's still a combination because, yes, there is the opportunity and the option to go back every day, but I think after 3 months of no gymnastics at all, I think it's very sensible to take things slowly because, of course, the health and safety of these athletes are the most important thing. So at the moment, we're doing 3 days a week. This is only our second week back. So we're doing 3 days a week this week. Maybe next week we'll increase it to 4 days. But at the moment, it's just a few days.
I understand. Well, in Israel, we are almost back to normal, including classes, just normal classes of gymnastics. Still, we have to wear masks when we go out and keep a social distance. But well, I hope for you to come back to normal as our situation now. And as we are talking now, I see lots of gymnasts and lots of friends that are coming up, including your gymnast, Rhys Backford, and David Huddleston from Bulgaria, and some other friends that we know from our gymnastics world. And this is really nice to see all of them are coming up. So, Scott, soon you'll be 40 years old.
Thank you very much for pointing that out, Ilan. Secret. And I'm really sure that because of the coronavirus and the fact that the Olympics has been pushed back 1 year, I think maybe my birthday should be pushed back 1 year also. I think fine for 1 more year.
Well, actually, your birthday is at June 26th, pretty soon. So all of you guys from around the world, don't forget to congratulate Scott when he's turning to his 40s. So let's go back to your first memory from gymnastics. Where and when did it all begin? I mean, when was your first time coming to a gym?
Well, I was only about 3 or 4 years old, and I did something called mini movers. And mini movers was basically like preschool. I come along and I joined in those classes, and I loved it. I loved it, and from that point, I've never looked back. So yeah, from about the age of 3 or 4, I've been involved in gymnastics.
And who actually took you to the first class? I mean, who wanted you to be a gymnast? Is it one of your parents in particular?
Yeah, it was both parents, because I think everyone can agree that the benefits of doing gymnastics are so big that most parents want their children to participate in some sort of way. I'm not sure that they would have thought that, 30 odd years later, I'm still involved in gymnastics, but, I've got a lot to thank them for, because this is the most amazing sport that you can ever imagine, and it's given me the most amazing life and the most amazing friends. So
I agree. It's a great word, the word of gymnastics. Wherever I travel, and even if it's not connected to gymnastics, I always look for the gyms in each city around the world. And whenever you get inside a gym and you smell the chalk, the magnesia, and you smell the mats, and then you know you're home.
Absolutely.
So let's welcome Max Whitlock. He's also on. Hi, Max. It's good to see that you're there. And Estela de la Torres from Mexico, also a good friend of mine. It's a pleasure to see all of you coming up. Scott, when was the first time you decided or felt that you want to be a professional gymnast? Because it was also a long career as a gymnast.
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with gymnastics. As a youngster, I probably knew more about the code of points back then and the perfect score of 10 than I do now, because I just really wanted to be up there with some of the big greats back then. But obviously, it was very unrealistic. And as I got a little bit older, I realized that being a gymnast wasn't for me, and I really wanted to give the opportunity for others to achieve their targets, that I didn't have. I never had those real opportunities. I've never changed my career. I've never changed anything that I did. But it was the catalyst for me to really try and give the guys the opportunities that I never had. But of course, there was lots of hurdles back then. There wasn't any real jobs in gymnastics in Great Britain. And if there was, it was more around running the gyms or being a national coach or a manager. Being a general coach was like a hobby. You'd go to work 9 till 5, and then you'd come in the gym and do your coaching. And of course, I was adamant in my head, no, I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to make an Olympic champion. All the things that you think are crazy now when you look back. But that was my mindset. Of course, there was lots of hurdles I had to overcome. And
but what age was it when you started coaching, actually?
Well, I started coaching when I was 14, but I guess I started coaching properly when I was about 18 years old. And by the age of 20, I already had quite a few gymnasts on the national squads, like the junior national squads.
Yeah, you were talking about gymnastics coach as a profession, and I remember I'm a bit older than you, and I remember when I told my parents back then that I would like to be a gymnastics coach, they said, well, but what is going to be your real profession? This is a hobby. This is not where are you going to get your salary from? I said, no, I want to be a gymnastics coach. This is going to be my profession. They couldn't understand that. But yeah, I agree. Actually, we have like the same time when I was a gymnast. I realized that I'm not going to be a world champion or even Israeli champion. I was at the national team, but I realized that I can give more as a coach, and that's why I became a coach, a very young coach, national coach at the age of 23. So. It's a little bit similar. I would like to ask you, Scott, a little bit about the process to bring a gymnast to the top. We will talk about your gymnast, but I would like to know behind the scene, to tell other coaches that are watching us now in gymnasts the process, how it's going. I mean, you don't take a gymnast and tomorrow is becoming a world champion.
No, it's a very, very long process, and one that you need a lot of passion, a lot of drive, a lot of commitment, almost a little bit obsessive nature to make sure that you give everything that you can to give these guys the opportunities to reach the very top. That's the number one ingredient as a coach. And then you find the gymnast that also has that passion and also has that drive. And then I guess you start the process. And some of the key things along that journey have to be your relationship. Obviously, as you start coaching, you know that you're working with very small children. So you have to lead them. You have to tell them what to do. You have to teach them everything, how to speak, how to stand, how to respect the apparatus, respect the environment, and of course, respect their team members and the coach and how you communicate there. As they grow a little bit older, it's really important to evolve that relationship into a joint thing. So you give them the space they need to learn who they are, learn how, what sort of athlete they are, what sort of person they are, but you're also there to sort of guide them in the right direction. Then they turn into teenagers, which is a very unique situation. I'm sure we've all encountered some difficulties there, but the most important thing is to support. You become just a support network, like a big safety blanket for when they fall, you're there to catch them. And these are the magical moments that you're really building a relationship along the journey. And then you get to the point when they do come back to normality and they're a real adult. They come back, and if you've done the job right and they come back as a really decent adult, it's their career and you're there just to help them. You're there to guide them, to support them, to do what you need to help them get to the top. But it's their job. And that is one of the key things to success as a coach, is understanding that journey. I think the technical aspect in gymnastics, there's so much information out there, that it's quite easy to find the technical information. And so teach a skill isn't that difficult, really. I think some people make it very difficult, but it's not really. But to actually bring a whole program together and to create that relationship, and then alongside that, create an environment, create a culture where people want to work, they want to thrive, they want to be the best they can be. And then on top of that, create a competition platform and a competition program where they're prepared to compete. And then on top of that, create the environments where you can put them under pressure, where they can learn, they can make mistakes and feel comfortable to make mistakes, so that they're able then to learn from those mistakes and be ready to push it forwards. There's so many little bits of what I call gold dust that you learn along the way, but it's really difficult to actually find that and bring it all together at once. And that really is the secret, I think, behind creating a gymnast all the way. I think at times, there's lots of people out there, that are really well-studied biomechanic experts. There are people that are real great psychologists. There are and there's people that can make breaking down a skill much easier than me. I like to keep things very simple, very straight to the point. I like to set a target, and I like to start and then reach the target. And if along the way I go a little bit like this, it doesn't matter to me as long as I reach the target. And I think that's really, really important to understand those steps and understand that you are target setting, okay? But the key is the environment, the culture, and making the gymnast want to be the best version of themselves they can be. And then you sit back and enjoy the ride. Because if they're doing what they do to the best of their ability, your job almost becomes the person, the bag carrier. Max will laugh at me, because I consider myself the world and Olympic champion bag carrier.
How long do you think, or let's talk about the journey with Max, okay? For example, with Max Whitlock. How many years since the first time you met him at the gym as a little boy until you brought him to the top? And how many years do you think it should take for a coach to bring a gymnast to the top?
Well, it's interesting. There's lots of different scenarios, because if you're in a program where the gymnast is developed to this level here and then moved to a different coach, and this level here, and then move to a different coach. It's very different to if you're in like Great Britain and maybe Israel and places like that, where you actually work with that gymnast all the way. So I can only talk from my experiences, and my experiences are you're working with your gymnast and you build your relationship, you build your culture. Now, what's interesting with Max is I have actually known him since he was very young, because he used to train with a different coach called Clem. You probably know Clem very well.
Yeah.
From Slovenia. And I knew them, and we was from the same region. So I saw Max lots of times at our training. So I've actually known him since he was probably about 9 or 10 years old. No, maybe even younger, maybe 8 years old. No,
I can imagine him. Even now, he's so skinny, and he's a small gymnast. And I can imagine when he was 8 or 9 years old, he was probably, you know, little one.
Yeah, he was tiny, but such a lovely character and a lovely nature.
Yeah.
Always friendly, always had a big smile. That's the one thing I remember of Max when he was a little boy, a massive smile all the time. And anyway, he came to me when he was about 12 years old. Just after I went to Slovenia on a gymnastics trip to see Clem, Max was out there with him, and he decided that he wanted to move home because it was difficult being away. So he came. So I've been working with Max since he was about 12 years old, and now he's really old now. Well, he thinks he is. You know,
Yeah.
26 years old, and you know what he's achieved is phenomenal. I take my hat off to him, and what I've learned and what we've learned together is something that I will never forget.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey together. Well, he was young when you met him, and then when was the first time you felt like there is a potential over here? I don't know if you thought about Olympic Games, but when did you feel the potential, and how did you work with him?
So with Max, I remember, when he came, there was probably about 6 guys in Great Britain at that age that were very good. You had Reece Beckford and Ashley Watson, Sam Oldham, people like that. They were the best guys at the time. And then Max was probably number 6 or number 7. And, he was always physically amazing, physically talented, but in competitions was a little bit lower down. I remember he did in one of his under 16 four-way competitions. He did a pike sukahara and a 1.5 twist punch dive roll on floor. It was
amazing.
How quickly he went from that level to doing triple twist on vault, and Olympic champion on floor. It's crazy. But I can remember it was 2010, to answer your question. 2010, we went to the Commonwealth Games in Delhi, in India, and Max went there and he had a very bad back. He didn't travel with a bad back. He got there and his back was cramping quite a lot. And me and the coach, Paul Hall, were obviously worried and was thinking, is he going to be able to compete? And for 1 whole week, he did no training, nothing. Bearing in mind, this is his first major senior competition, no training, no nothing. And we decided that he would try the podium training. So he did a little bit on podium training. So we said, okay, we'll see how you are in the morning. If you're fine, we'll let you compete. So he woke up and he felt really good. Very young, there was no expectation on him. But I can remember going out onto the competition floor, and this young lad who'd done no training, was in India, was the other side of the world, had a bad back, was in front of all of the audience, everything. He walked out and just smashed everything. Absolutely smashed everything. As did Reece, as did the rest of the team. But this was something special at this point. And that's when I thought, okay, even if it's not the most physically talented person in the world, you look at some of these guys that can jump 6 foot in the air, that wasn't Max. The guys that can do massive releases on high bar, that wasn't Max. Some of the guys that can do strength moves on pommel, that wasn't Max. On rings, that wasn't Max. But he could perform. And he could perform under pressure. And that's when I thought that precise competition, this could be something here. And that's when our discussions started as a team about how we can get to the highest of levels. And that's when we started thinking and talking about 2012 Olympics. And everybody was saying, don't worry about the Olympics. He's young. He's not going to go. It's probably too early for him and everything. But we did everything right, and we went from doing a pike supine vault to a nice 2.5 twist for the 2012 Olympic Games. Pommel horse was incredible. It's always been incredible.
Yeah.
Max. I think Max has probably taught me more on pommel than I've taught Max, in terms of stability and everything like that. But you know, the other pieces, it was a lot of work that went into those other pieces.
It's amazing. When I look from this side, of course, I've been judging him in many competitions, and he always looks so calm. It looks like he's in his own zone. He's I don't know, like he's meditating before. I don't know. Maybe it's just his personality. I don't know if he uses mental help or you know, like you have a mental coach now. But it looks like he's natural, calm person.
Yeah, he's very natural. Obviously, we've done a lot of work together to learn from mistakes, because there have been competitions where there've been a mistake, like Nanning, the World Championships in China. There was a big mistake from Max in the qualifications, and both myself and Max, we were left a little bit stunned. But looking back, I think Max would agree that this was probably one of the biggest learning competitions for us. We learned so much, and we learned that we have to just stay calm in all situations. And you know, Max has got this amazing ability just to focus on what he needs to do, follow his steps, follow his procedure. He trains like he's going to compete. There's no need to change anything. I see lots of athletes, they do lots of training before a competition, and they train hard, they work hard. I see other athletes that do nothing. Max does the exact mirror of the competition for about 3 weeks before the competition, and that's it. Little adjustments along the way, but that is the key to learning how to perform. Because if you don't do that exact mirror, how can you learn those little bits along the way? If you're doing a big, heavy training, you're not learning. You're getting fit, you're getting strong, but you're not practicing that comp. So every time you practice the comp, if there was a mistake, we adjust. I remember in one competition, we had this plan, this program that was so good and so consistent, but he made a small mistake on a landing on rings. So we just included the rings dismount into the preparation. He never, in fact, he didn't just not fall on rings, he stuck most of the dismounts after that. And again, that's where the psychology comes into it, because he was so, everything was correct, ready for that competition. But if something did go wrong, we learned from China that also doesn't matter, and we can adapt and adopt. And like I said, going back, the communication and the conversation has been absolutely key. So if something is slightly wrong, or if we need to talk about something, it's spoken in such a respectful way, in such a level way, that it's a mutual respect. And I believe that's part of the reason that he's able to keep himself in that zone. But he's incredible. He inspires me every day.
Yeah, I think you have grown up together. I mean, him as a gymnast, and you as a coach, you've built yourself together, and it's beautiful. But this is Max, and if you want, if I will mention, like for example, Brent Bevan or other gymnasts that you had, I mean, each one has his own personality. You cannot treat them all the same. I mean, Max does what he does, and Rest is doing what he is doing. You know, it's different from one to another.
Absolutely, absolutely, every single one. What's interesting is we have a program, a general program that everybody follows. But within that program, there's lots of individualization. And individualization is absolutely essential. There is no world-class program that fits everybody.
Of course.
You have to adapt, you have to adopt, you have to apply. And you have to be able to differentiate. And all of that comes from relationships and communication. If you haven't got that mutual respect, you can't do that. You mentioned Bryn Bevan. He's a very different character. He's in competition, he's different to Max. Max is calm and focused.
Yeah.
Bryn is like, I want to go, I want to get on the apparatus, he's ready to compete. You know, Reese is a different character as well. And then you've got other people, Jay, even Hayden now. Hayden is a little bit similar to Max, actually, very calm, very, you know, he lets everything fly. He's a little bit more, he looks around a bit more, whereas Max likes to focus. But every single one has their own way. But the numbers are very similar. The preparation is always similar. And they all have one thing in common, and that is they know how to work very hard. But not just hard for working hard's sake. It's work clever and work smart. It's doing what they need to do to be ready for their competition.
But let me ask you something, as a coach for a team. For example, when I have a preparation for competitions, and on the program I have, okay, today you have to do 4 routines on each apparatus, for example. So if you have one gymnast that nail all his routines, and instead of staying at the gym 4.5 hours or 4 hours, he finishes everything at an hour and a half, would you let him go home? Is it okay?
100%. 100%. There's no other discussion to have. What is the point? It makes me so frustrated when someone. How many chances do you get in a competition? One.
Only one.
So of course, in training, if there's a mistake, you have to repeat. And of course, in the beginning of your preparations, you have to do lots of numbers. There is no denying that. But when you're in the final stages, if you do an amazing training session, the psychology behind allowing that gymnast to finish and go home and reflect on that amazing session, that is training. That is part of their preparation. And if you make someone get back on the apparatus after doing an amazing routine, and they fall off,
what's the use?
They're thinking about something else.
Of course, I used to have a gymnast for Olympic Games in Barcelona 92, Ron Kaplan, his name, and truly he hated gymnastics. He was the best gymnast. He was Israeli champion for 5 years, but he hated to be at the gym. He was a lazy gymnast, but he nailed every routine. So he came to the gym just before competitions. An hour and a half, he nailed all his routines, and okay, let's go home. Because I found no use to press him and to put more pressure on him for more routines if he makes it. And other gymnasts were jealous. Why is he going home so early? I said, but he made everything,
And it's what's interesting is you said he hated gymnastics. He hated doing the sport. And that's probably one of the key parts behind his psychology, because he didn't put the pressure on himself.
Yeah.
If he wasn't bothered, then the pressure wasn't there. People that make gymnastics or their job or their career their complete life, their be all and end all. You have to get things into perspective and you have to be real. And of course, if you go to Olympic Games, you're going to feel the pressure. But if you still understand that there is still life, there is still big and important things as well, you can get a good perspective and it makes you compete better. It makes you perform better.
Scott, I didn't mention, but you are the director of South Essex Club and also the national coach for Scotland. Tell me a little bit about the Scottish team.
Yeah, I mean, what a great group of people. I thoroughly enjoy working with those guys and the coaches there involved. And they're training really hard. They're focusing. Their big target is, well, they've got two big targets. One is to try and make some gymnasts into the Great Britain national squad, and the other one is for the Commonwealth Games. It's a big competition for the home nations of Great Britain: England, Scotland, Ireland, and of course, and of course Wales. The different parts, and they come together, and it's a really, really important part. And it's great working with Scottish Gymnastics. They're a great organisation.
So now, Scott, when your gymnasts are a bit older, what are your plans for the future? What are your next plans? I mean, I guess Max will go to Tokyo and Olympic Games, and then what?
Well, if we're talking about Max, I think he wants to go to Paris. I think he may even want to do more.
Woo!
Yeah.
I cheer for that.
Yeah, and of course, if he wants to do that, then I'll support him every step of the way, and all the guys. As long as they're training, as long as they're working hard, I will be behind them. But I have to be realistic, and I have to think, what are my next steps? And I know full well that I'm not going to go and start working again with babies. But something that's really important to me, something is very important to me, and that is giving back to the community, giving back to the gymnastics community. And part of my role at South Essex is mentoring and working with everybody else. Having a mentor is one of the most important things for a gymnast and a coach, or anyone. A life mentor, a coach mentor, whatever it is. And I really, really enjoy helping people. So succession planning is one of the most important things that I'm doing now, and I'm looking at helping the next generation of people. And I'm doing that in several ways. Obviously, one way is at South Essex, working with the next set of head coaches. I still want to be involved in gymnastics. I still want to be involved with the best guys and the best coaches, but I want to help them. And I want to spend a bit more time at home with my family, because I think they've missed me for long enough now. And the other way is setting up certain things that help the gymnastics community. And I guess it'd be the right time to say now about one of the amazing projects that I'm working on, actually with some of my guys, Max and Reese.
Genius Gymnastics.
Yeah, Genius Gymnastics. I'm so excited about it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I saw it. I watched it. It's really amazing, and I think you're doing a great thing. Tell us a little bit about that. I would like to hear some more.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So the plan came from discussions. I mean, we always wanted to give something back, and I think actually Max and Reese both have the same mentality. And there's other guys that want to be involved as well, but at the moment it's just the three of us. And the mentality is, we've learned a lot and we want to give it back. Now, from my perspective is, along the way, I made so many mistakes, all right? And if I could think back, if I could have made different mistakes because I'd already learned from someone else's mistakes, maybe I'd have got even further. So why not learn and start from where someone else has already kicked off? So my idea was to bring all of my learning and bring everything that I've learned and experienced to all together into one platform, but to make it simple. There are so many coaches out there that make gymnastics so difficult. They almost make the gymnast struggle a little bit simply because they make it too complicated. And like I said, the complicated parts of the programming, the competition preparation, the environment, the culture, but the gymnastics, as long as you get the essentials correct, it's quite straightforward. And in Gymnastics Genius, we're really keen to make every single skill in the code of points for the men and for the women a straightforward, easy to watch video with 3 or 4 key pointers, 3 or 4 key things to look out for.
Brilliant, brilliant.
A top tip from myself from what I've learned, something to look out for. A simple one, a simple example would be a double pike on P-bars. We all know how to do a double pike on P-bars. How many gymnasts do double pike and fall on their bum? Time and time and time again. So a little top tip from me would be, stick your head out. Stick your head out and look for the floor. How many coaches do you hear say, stick your head out in the last somersault and look for the floor? None, because we're head in, it has to be straight. So that's the top tip. And we get the guys to stand on a springboard, do a pike back, stick their head out, look for the floor. They stick double pike every single time off P-bars. That's just a small little example of how direct and straight to the point we want it to be. Now, of course, I'd be a fool to say that I know everything in gymnastics. So what's really important is we're going to bring in experts onto this platform to help us and to grow it and to make it really, really comprehensive. And it's so big and so good already, and we can't wait to launch it. Obviously, the coronavirus has put a bit of the brakes on for the moment, because there's still quite a lot of filming to do. But as soon as this content is ready, the first wave, we're going to be getting it out there and we're going to be pushing it. And I really can't wait.
It's amazing, really. I would like to connect that to, see my shirt, Sun Life Group, the coach academy that we have in Anadia in Portugal. And it's making me thinking about something that Alex Shatilov, our great gymnast from Israel, told me when he participated our program over there. He said, it's the first time I see that we can make gymnastics in a different method than the Russian method. And it looks so simple, because this is one of the things that I've learned from you, Scott, that not to complicate the gymnastics, make it simple, and make it simple for each gymnast in a different way. And I love this project that we have in Anadia with Lucas Gonzalez, our brother. It's really amazing thing for young coaches and gymnasts that are coming there. And if I heard such a sentence from Alex Shatilov, I mean, that says everything. That shows everything about this project.
No, it means a lot to me to, you know, and I remember him coming on the first one or the second one, I can't remember which one it was, and he joined in not just as a coach but as a gymnast as well, and it was great. Yeah. And these were some of the, you know, some of the areas where these ideas developed from and they evolved from, because I love lecturing, I love giving back to communities about stuff, and this is why I want to try and evolve this platform so that, you know, all of these things that I'm giving to individual people, I can make it there with the help from amazing athletes like Max and Reese as well, to actually give to people all the time. If you know, people that are there, they'll have direct access all of the time, very quickly, to myself, to the gymnast, to the platform, and there should be, you know, and the one thing that I'm going to do as well, which is similar to Sun Live and Anadia, is actually work and develop a lot of the stuff by request, so that people can request what they need, and as they request it, it will be given and turn into the program, and it will be there then. And there's going to be lots of other parts of the program as well. So the things I talk about in Sun Life, in Anadia, like the environment and the culture, of course the gymnastics will be short to the point videos, but there will be bigger, longer videos on there talking about the gold dust, the culture, the environment, the communication, the language, how to plan for a competition, stuff like that. And they will be like my lectures in Anadia. So what I learned with you and with Lucas and everything out there in Portugal, it's great to be able to bring together onto a platform with, you know, Genius, so that we can actually share it and continue to grow, because I still want to be able to come to Portugal and do this, you know, amazing project that we've done as well. You know, and if at some point the two are working together, it's going to be even better. It's great, you know, I can see that this can grow so big and could be of such benefit to the gymnastics community, and it makes me so excited to be part of it. But also, like you said, the coaching lectures firsthand in Anadia is, you know, you can't beat that either.
Yeah, it's beautiful that you don't keep your knowledge and all these secrets to yourself. You want to share with everyone, and this is beautiful. That's the way it should be. If you look back to your on your career, what would you say was the lowest point and the top, the highest point of your time before Rio? You mentioned the Nanning, and what was the best, the highest top position of your career?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Nanning was strange, because whilst it was probably one of the lowest points of the career, it was also one of the best, because he ended up having a second chance and he became silver world medalist. Silver medalist at the World Championships there. But it was still really, really difficult at that point. The highest point, it would be wrong of me not to mention, obviously, being double Olympic champion. But for me, without a shadow of a doubt, there's two things. Number one is for me, and with Max, obviously with all the guys, but with Max because he got there, it was that all-around bronze medal in Rio. That was hard. That was hard work from both of us. Like the patient. Max is a genius on pommels. Right? He's something special. He's like the next Maris Ozika. He's a genius. Right? And you know, that was but to do what he did in the all around, I will never forget. And to do it with him and be there together, he's putting shivers up the back of my spine now. It was incredible. But the second thing is, and it's not so much gymnastics related, but it's my relationship with my guys. They're like my family.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And in that respect, there is no different levels. There's no different champions. They've given me 20 years of my life that, you know, it's just been absolutely amazing. And they're my two highlights, without a shadow of a doubt.
Beautiful. So if you're talking about your gymnast as you consider them as your family, as your children, let's talk about your family. The fact that you have a wife that is also a coach. Did it help
Yes.
you with all your journeys traveling around the world? Could she understand all this? Because this is difficult. I know from my experience, it's not easy to travel so much.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I couldn't have done it without the support of my wife. She's been incredible the whole way. I'm sure every great sportsman, every great coach, every great person that achieves something, they've got their wives or their husbands or their partners in the background supporting them. And she's been amazing. Sure, there's been really difficult times. Sure, she probably you know, sometimes wants me to be at home rather than being traveling.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm looking forward to in the future. But we've still got some unfinished business to do, so not just yet.
Yeah.
We have to hold on for a little bit longer. But yeah.
So where did you meet Jamie Lee?
In the gym. In the
In the
gym.
gym.
Yeah, she was a coach in the gym. She coaches the preschool, the little ones. But back then, she was actually a women's coach as well. And it's funny, there is a connection because her sister was also a very good gymnast and a gymnast in the gym. And her sister ended up marrying Max. And now I'm actually Max's brother-in-law as well. So
Oh my God. Oh my God.
yeah.
So and your daughter, she's a gymnast.
Yeah, Olivia, she's already got the bug. She is obsessed with gymnastics. She reminds me of myself with how much she loves it. She's not missed one session on Zoom since
She got the virus of gymnastics.
she's got the gymnastics virus. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she loves it. And you know what? It's the best thing to see someone with that sort of passion. That's my own family and my own daughter as well. Even though I'm very aware that I'm going to have to be traveling around following her now and sitting in the audience rather than being on the competition floor. But I'm super excited to do that.
Yeah. I would like to touch a sad point in your life, your sister. Tell me a little bit about your loss.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when everybody started talking about mental health, it was a big thing for me because my sister struggled from mental health for many years, and it was very sad because as a youngster she was the most happy, bubbly kid. She reminds me so much of, you know, my own daughter, and you know, always fighting, always playing, always the center of attention. And then when she, you know, grew up 10, 11, 12 years old, you could see a change. But obviously I was only a kid myself as well. And from that young age up until, you know, in her 30s, in her early 30s, she had a battle. And it was really difficult to see her go through that. And then unfortunately, in, you know, 2017, she lost the battle. And
Yeah.
it was probably, it's, again, we talk about adversity introduces a man to themselves. And when you overcome adversity, it can often make you much more strong. It can make you much more powerful. It can make you much more focused. And it was the lowest point. And I you know, I still to this day miss her greatly. And you know, sure, we had a brother-sister relationship. We used to fight all the time. We used to love each other. We, you know, all the time. But every single moment I miss now. And it's, you know, the message that I'm trying to give here is that you know, you've got to take care of your mental health. You've got to get help. You've got to speak. You've got to talk to people, because once it does get hold of you, it's very hard. It's very hard to let go and to get away. And unfortunately, she lost the battle. But I learned from that. That you have to not take life for granted.
Yeah. Everything is so fragile.
exactly. You know, some of the big things that bothered me, they don't bother me anymore. And my coping mechanisms are so much stronger now as well. So actually, she's taught me a lot, and I've got a lot to thank for.
Yeah. Scott, thank you for sharing that subject with us. It's not easy. I know you probably miss her so much, and it's very difficult. But if you can share this and explain people how to take care of themselves, this is very important, because maybe you can save lives. You know, people should not keep inside, and they have to share. And if they need to get professional help, they should get professional help. We should not hide it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. If you close your eyes for a second, what would be your dream? I mean, what do you want to be when you get older? What do you want to do?
Do you know what? I want to see people achieving to the best of their ability, and I want to have great relationships with all of those people, and I want to be able to sit back, and I want to watch the joy and the, you know, the success in people's faces, and just be a part of that, and just know how I felt, and let's sit and see someone else feeling like that, and give people the opportunities. I want to give people the opportunities to do that. And of course, I want to see Gymnastics Genius be massive and global.
It will be for sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
And of course, all of the other projects that we've done, I want them to continue to be successful and to grow and develop. You know, and eventually, of course, grow old with my wife, and see my children grow old and be healthy and safe, and reach the best of their potential.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about running. I'm following you on Facebook and Instagram, and I see that you are running a lot lately, or the last year, or more than that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few things. So someone once said to me, when they exercise, all they're doing is putting off the inevitable, which is basically saying at some point they're going to get really old. So by exercising, you just slow it down, slow that process down. So that's one thing. Another person said about being fit at 40 or fit before 40. So it's a little bit of a fun thing. But I recognise that I'm getting older now, and I don't want to. I want to stay young. I want to stay healthy. And running was something that I couldn't do. I really struggled to run. Every time I did a little run, my legs, my back, my knees, everything. And actually, I've built up and I've carried on, and now I can run for 10 kilometres with no issue, no problem at all. I can do 5 kilometres, of course, not fast to professionals or anything, but I'm very pleased, around 23 minutes. And it's great. And it's the most important thing is it gives me time to reflect, it gives me time to think, and it gives me time to really just plan my day and be ready and set for all the challenges that the day's going to bring.
It's a kind of meditation.
100%.
Yeah. What do you think about bringing back the perfect 10? It was a question on Genius Gymnastics.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I love the concept of the perfect 10, but I think it limits the gymnastics as well. So I don't know how you're going to do it. So if you can bring what we're doing now in terms of the endless possibilities. I think what I don't like, and what I'd like to see, is maybe stop the restrictions so much in the routines. Maybe actually say, look, okay, if you can do 10 releases on high bar and they're incredible, as long as it's safe, let's do that. Not just 5 or 4, or, you know, if someone can connect 8 catch-ups, let's do 8 catch-ups. If someone can do 5 co-ratchets, let's do that. Let's make the routine super, you know, great for the spectators, amazing to judge. But the perfect 10, there was something special about it. And if you can get that concept back, then it'd be great. But I maybe don't think we should go back to just saying the perfect 10, because then it also opens up to a little bit of, you know, the only way you can do that is with things like virtuosity and, you know, you know, objective type of judging. And I think we've got to try and keep with the subjective judging as much as we can. And, you know, the judges have got such a hard job, as you know, you're a world-class judge, and it's really difficult when you're out there under that pressure to do the job. and people always think that there's, you know, some sort of politics behind every single thing, and there's not. People don't understand. You're there to do your job, and I think
Yeah.
it excites the judges more if there's the perfect 10, because people will criticise more. You know, I don't think people understand how difficult a judge's role is.
It is absolutely. And if you look back at the video clips from that time that they gave 10 points, you can see that there are many mistakes. They should not get a 10 point, most of them.
Exactly. Although it was great for the audience, but, you know, for the gymnasts and the coaches and the gymnastics community and fraternity that worked so hard, sometimes it could have been a little bit unfair, maybe.
One of my ex-gymnasts who was Israeli champion, he's giving clinics with for workshops with handstands. His name is Yuval on hands. He's asking you, what about handstands? I remember you mentioning a few times that this is the most important element in gymnastics.
It is the hub. It's the heartbeat of gymnastics. If you can't do a handstand, it's probably the one thing that I'm most obsessed about. If I see a gymnast that has got a solid, good handstand, and I can't just say good shape, because there's a specific shape, there's a specific way of doing it to make it absolutely solid. I see so many world-class gymnasts do incredible skills, and then they land in this arched handstand.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? He's ruined the gymnastics for me. The classic handstand is the catalyst to all gymnastics. So it's the most important thing. And of course, on any of my lectures or on Gymnastics Genius, there's going to be all sorts of videos and explanations of how to develop the perfect handstand. Or of course, if anyone wants to just contact me, I'm always happy to help.
I can tell you guys that if you chant to Scott, you'll get whatever you need. Scott, we're almost at the end because Instagram is giving us an hour. So we have a few more minutes. So the last few minutes will be this and that question. So you have to choose immediately without thinking too much. Okay? So let's go for it. Sea or swimming pool?
Sea.
Sea, of course. Are you a person of a morning or evening?
Morning.
Hamburger or steak?
Steak.
Pizza or sushi?
Pizza.
Whiskey or vodka? Whiskey. Beer. Beer.
Oh yeah, beer. Vodka.
Vodka, okay. Let's go. Putin or Trump?
Sorry?
Putin or Trump? Trump.
Trump,
okay. A t-shirt.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I was getting confused with your accent. I see what you're saying.
Excuse my accent. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's a difficult one. Maybe 50-50.
Okay. Good answer. Would you go for a t-shirt or a nice shirt with buttons and everything? You know, like a
shirt all day long. I spend too much time in t-shirts.
Dog or a cat?
Dog.
Football or basketball?
Basketball.
By the way, do you have any dog at home?
No, but I was brought up with dogs. My parents have dogs, and Jamie's parents have dogs. Yeah, so I love animals.
I think one day you'll bring one at home.
Maybe.
Yeah. So you said football or basketball?
Basketball.
Basketball. LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Of course. Floor or high bar?
High bar is my favorite piece in the whole world, so it has to be high bar.
And last question. Nemov or Uchimura?
Oh! Oh! I have to go with the king. King Kohai.
King Kohai.
Too many times is King Kohai.
Great. Scott, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. You're such an incredible person. Let me tell you, even though we have spectators now and followers, I admire you. You are a brilliant person and a brilliant coach. and thank you for sharing all this knowledge with us around the world. My dream is to be next to you again and again, if it's for training camps or competitions. It's always a great pleasure. I wish you and your family only the best of the best. Stay safe, stay healthy. I wish your gymnast a lots of success, and I'm sure we'll meet each other soon, you know.
Absolutely, the pleasure is completely mine. It's an absolute honour, and I've had some great fun doing this. So thank you for the opportunity. And of course, I replicate everything you've said about my family directly back at you for your family. And yeah, can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I will send you the link. We'll have this link also on YouTube in a day or two, and of course on Instagram. If some other people missed it and they want to watch it, no problem. You can share the link with them, and let's do it again, okay? Some other time. I would like to talk some more because it's only the beginning.
Of course, brilliant, 100%. Thank you very much.
Good luck with Genius Gymnastics. It's a great thing.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Cheers, Anne. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.